Hello, I'm Yvonne from Somerset Libraries, and this is my friend and helper Archie, and welcome to episode 3 of Taunton Library Gardening Club. Now, I know not everyone likes growing vegetables, so I thought this week we would do some flowery things as well. So I'll be taking some Dianthus cuttings, that's garden pinks, and looking at some quite unwelcome visitors on our broad beans. This sorry looking specimen, not Archie, the plant, is a Dianthus or garden pink. They're lovely flowers, they're a relative of carnations, they smell lovely, they flower for a long time, and they make very good cut flowers. The reason it's looking so unwell is because of all the rain we had earlier in the year. Pinks like very good drainage and they hate sitting in wet, soggy soil, which is what happened to this over the winter, and so it started to rot off. So I'll take some cuttings of it to replace it and have some more plants as well, because they're really good ones. This is a variety, by the way, this is a variety called Hator, and it's a white one. So to take cuttings, we first take some non-flowering shoots. So just nip them off. Now we've taken the cuttings, we need to prepare them and put them in their pots. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut the shoot with a sharp knife just below a leaf node, which is where the leaves just join the stem. Then take off the lower leaves quite carefully so you don't damage it. Once you've trimmed the cutting, if you've got some rooting powder, just dip the end of the cutting in, shake it off before you pop it into the compost. That does help with rooting, but don't worry if you haven't got any. They'll still root, but not quite as quickly or as successfully. These pots are full of compost, which is a mixture of multi-purpose compost and grit, about half and half. It means that it drains so much better, and the pinks like free draining compost. The cuttings are all in their pots now, but looking at them, I think I've left too much leaf on them, because if there is too much leaf, then they'll dry out prematurely before their roots are growing. So I'm going to trim these a little bit. Now the cuttings need to be covered. Again, it's to retain moisture. So there are various ways of doing this. I'm using a plastic bag, but to avoid the plastic bag collapsing on top of the cuttings, I just put a few sticks in to support it, just between the cuttings. Then slip the bag over carefully. And you can secure it with an elastic band. Another method that's quite good to cover them with is plastic bottle. That's got some ventilation in it as well. That works with a smaller pot, which is I'm going to do that with this one. The unwelcome visitors I mentioned earlier are blackfly on the broad beans. Now, blackfly are aphids like greenfly, and they feed on the sap of the plant. Broad beans are very prone to blackfly, and they can do quite a lot of damage. They can stunt the growth, they can damage the flowers and distort the pods. So you really need to get on top of them. They can also spread viruses from plant to plant because they feed on the sap. If the blackfly are easy to get at, you can just wipe them off with your fingers like that. It's a bit messy, but fairly effective. Blackfly like to attack the soft new growth best, so they always go for the tips of the plants first. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut off the growing tips of all the plants, not just the ones with blackfly, all of them, because that's good to do anyway, because it helps the development of the pods. So here we go, just snip them off. Now we need to deal with the ones that are left after we've cut off the ones that are on the tips. The way I like to do it, if my plants are big enough and advanced enough, is to just swoosh them off with a hose pipe. like this. It's very effective because it just knocks them off. However, the plants do need to be fairly big and substantial to take the pressure of the hose. If your plants aren't big enough, then the alternative is to spray with water with a little bit of washing up liquid added and also a drop of cooking oil. That makes it stick to the black fly. The dilution rate is a teaspoonful of washing up liquid to 3 litres of water. So in half a litre, like this sprayer, just a very small squirt, just a few drops. And add a couple of drops of cooking oil too. That makes it stick to the black fly. Both methods need to be done quite regularly because the black fly can come back, so you need to keep an eye on them. Whilst these methods will get rid of the black fly to some extent, prevention is better than cure. And black fly do have quite a lot of natural predators like hoverfly larvae, ladybirds, and it's a good idea to encourage those in the garden as well. But I think the best way of reducing the black fly is autumn sowing of the broad beans, because that means they're fairly well advanced by the time the black fly arrive. Now, these were planted in the autumn, and whilst they do have some black fly, it's nowhere near as bad as they would be if I planted them in the spring. So I think autumn sowing is a really good idea. Well, that's all for this week. Do let us know what you think via our social media platforms. We do love to hear from you. And don't forget, you can access full digital copies of all the main gardening magazines via our website. Just look at Somerset Libraries for details, and it's all for free. Well, goodbye for now, and thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next week.